Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome everyone to another episode of ThriveLouD with Lou Diamond, connecting the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I am your host, Lou Diamond, and I'm excited for today's show. So excited that I actually stumbled on the earlier version of this opening, but who cares, because you didn't hear it, because I changed it. Because here's the real deal. We have someone who is passionate about helping women harness their influence to create meaningful impact and life-changing income. She's an income and influence strategist. She specializes in helping women leverage their voices and platforms to build multi-million dollar multimedia empires. Did I get that right? Yeah, it sounds good. $1 million multimedia empires sounds pretty good. ThriveLouD listeners, we got the media and money mentor here today, Shayna Davis. Welcome to ThriveLouD.
I'm so excited to be here with you. I have been itching for this interview for over a week now.
I was itching so much that I was stumbling over the whole opening here, because I was just like, oh my God, I get to talk to Shayna. Here's the reason why. I just had the opportunity of connecting with Shayna. We were at PodFest in Orlando, Florida in January, and she's awesome. She's doing some really cool things, and she and I basically speak the same language. She speaks it much smoother and more cooler with a little bit of a Dallas, Texas accent than I do, but she has an energy, a passion, and she's doing the right thing in this space. So here's what I want to do. I gave this little intro here, but I want you to give a little rewind. I don't need to go all the way back to the womb and stuff like that. I want to understand how this became your laser focus of what you've been doing, the work you're doing today, how it became your gig.
Yeah. So I've been doing some form of business coaching or leadership development since, probably like 2006, 2007 or something like that. And over the years of working with leaders, especially over like the last few years, I realized how many leaders, especially women leaders, unfortunately, are like seen and not paid. And so when you look at what I was doing 10, 15, 18 years ago, I was working with small business owners, I was working with influencers, and I was teaching them how to land corporate contracts and corporate sponsors. Mm-hmm. Now you fast forward to the fact that I have been podcasting for the last 5 years, and I've been fortunate enough to grow my podcast to be in the top 3% in the world. And I realize how many, especially podcasters, have visibility and not profitability. And unfortunately, most of the ways that they're being taught to monetize is like, oh, sell some merchandise, have some ad links, do some affiliate links, whatever. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do those things and that you can't do those things. But what I am saying is that those are not the type of opportunities that are going to get you life-changing income. Those are not the type of opportunities that are going to shape industries or leave a legacy. And so I just said, you know what? Since I'm in this podcasting space, why don't I combine that with what it is that I've been doing over the years? So what I do now is I work primarily with women. I mean, men can benefit from it as well, but I know I'm assigned specifically to women. Is I show you how do you take your show and how do you leverage it to create what I call high five opportunities. And that's corporate sponsors, corporate contracts, major media appearances, not just other podcast shows, which you should do those as well. High paid speaking engagements and book deals. Mm-hmm. Because I think that that's what's going to create a legacy. That's what's going to create life-changing income. That's what's going to give you money beyond your equipment and your hosting and all the things that we have to pay for as hosts.
Shayna, first of all, we speak the same language. You can utilize this platform to launch your brand in so many different ways. Yeah. And I know that there's a cringe factor when you hear all these other people telling, oh, you could sell more ad space or you can get more listeners. Help people understand a little bit about, let's pick one of the 5 examples on how you can utilize this platform to help really launched you in that other direction? You could pick any one of the 5 you want to talk about, because I think nobody knows how to do it better than you, and no one explains it better. So, floor is yours.
So I want to say 2 things first before I directly answer the question. Number one, all of this starts with the mindset shift that your show is just not a microphone, that your show is a gateway to opportunity. If you don't first embrace the business mindset of recognizing that if you don't have a business model around your show, that it's just a hobby, that nothing else I say is going to matter. So if you're listening to this and you're like, nope, I don't want my show to be anything more than a microphone. Met somebody at PodFest was like, as long as, I don't care if 12 people listen, as long as it's fun, then I think you should log off now. So I'm going to start with that. So now I've got the good folks here. You guys realize that your show is more than a microphone. It's a gateway to opportunity. So any of the 5, you're going to have to do this first, and then I'm going to answer Lou's question directly. Regardless of the high 5 that you're going after, you have to think about how you're positioning yourself. And it's so important that you brand yourself beyond your industry and create what I call an umbrella brand. So I'll use myself, for example. Although I've grown my show to the top 3%, and although podcasting is central to my strategy, I don't position myself as a podcasting expert. I position myself as an influence expert. Give you another example. Say you're a health coach and you teach moms how to lose weight. That's a great niche expertise, but your umbrella brand may be like women's total being, right? You see the difference? Like one is specific and one is scalable. And so when I look at my own brand, my umbrella brand is influence. And when I brand myself as an influence expert and not a podcasting expert, although that's one way that I serve the influence arena, that makes me applicable to publishers. It makes me applicable to corporations. It makes me applicable to like the Today Show or CNN bringing me on. And so regardless of the 5 that you pick, you have to think of your expertise in broader themes than just your niche that you've been in. I know what everybody's thinking, but I'm supposed to niche down and the riches are in the niches. Influence is still a niche. It's just a broader theme of my expertise than podcasting. So those are the first 2 things. You got to realize your show's a gateway to opportunity. Number 2, you have to brand yourself as an umbrella brand and not a niche expert. But then when I think about the 5, I believe that if you have an expertise, like advice that you can give, that corporate contracts is the easiest place to start, because then it's just an extension of what it is that you're doing. I had a conversation with 2 lovely gals this morning, and they help podcasters to like edit their show, right? Like they don't do end to end, but they will help you edit your show. And one of the things that they talk to their podcast guest about, or their host about, is they talk about like, how do you keep people engaged through the entire show? And I was telling them, if you really want to diversify your income, corporations will actually bring you in to teach their executives how to be more engaging on camera, how to be more engaging when they're doing speaking engagements. And so you see, like, they don't have to stop saying that they edit podcasts, but if they brand themselves as someone that helps your message be more engaging and more impactful and have more whatever the call to action is, corporations will pay them to do that. And then they don't just have to say, I edit podcast episodes. So that's why I say, like, if you have advice to give, corporate contracts is usually the most natural extension to what it is that you're already doing. The problem is that most people don't know how to reach out and get the business.
So I'm going to jump in on this corporate contract thing, and I want people to use her language specifically. Some people do work for corporations and have consulting practices. They've got services that they offer. They give workshops and pieces. So you can think of it that way as well. And that, by the way, is something we preach over here. It is utilizing this platform as a means to connect to the people to help make those relationships and show your value. Sorry, I just had to add into your magic here that you're sharing here today.
And corporations have found a tremendous amount of value over the last probably 5 or 6 years of encouraging, especially their executive level leaders, to have a personal brand. Not because they're trying to push them into entrepreneurship or to leave the organization, but they know it makes their company more powerful if their executives are branded. So guess what? Those executives that are having personal brands should have a podcast.
Oh, yeah. People, I loved your comment about, the ones who are focusing on here. This is a platform, and it is a utilization. It's a big vehicle. I don't distinguish between having a show on as a podcast or a YouTube channel because we have it on all. We actually recognize as a program.
Yeah.
As a host on your program, tell people what you really focus on in your message on your show, because you obviously have lots of great courses and things, which we will talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But talk about what goes on in that show and some of the messages that are coming through in that medium that you're sharing today.
Yeah. So the name of my show is The Influence Economy. My definition of the influence economy is when your visibility meets intention, because that's what's going to create tangible results. So on the show, I'm talking about how you turn your visibility into profitability and how you turn your influence into a lasting legacy. So some of the shows that we've had here recently, one of the things that I know that keeps most women back, unfortunately, is confidence. And so we've talked about how do you have the confidence to secure high value opportunities. We talk about why your visibility is just the starting point. Long gone are the days that even a corporate sponsor cares just about the number of followers that you have. Book publishing houses don't care as much anymore about the number of followers. They care about, like, are your followers actually taking action with you? So we talk about a lot of those things on the show. We do talk about, how you can monetize your podcast in some more unique ways. So we talk about all those types of things. But at the end of the day, it's about how do you multiply your influence? And more importantly, how do you recognize that your influence is currency and your influence is an asset that you need to own? So that's what those episodes are about.
I love this. Shayna and I had a conversation about the currency we both exchange, and hers being influence, mine actually being in the connection currency of help, which they're very similar, because when you're doing in a service business or you're helping to influence and monetize and multiply your brand and message, which is just so on spot. Here's a challenge that I have. That's a question and a challenge for our listeners here and for you. It's hard to not only just to get your program running and get that action out there, but to find the lane, I guess, that you have your influence on. When you work with your clients and you hear what their program is, I loved your umbrella brand and come up with that strategy. How do you help them figure it out? Because sometimes they don't know, or sometimes they're kind of all over diverse. What's some of the magic potion or magic powers that Shayna has that she uses to really drill down on that?
I tell them to ask themselves, what are you really helping people to do? Because your umbrella brand or your broader theme positioning is usually buried in that. So if I was to have a conversation with Lou and I didn't know, let's say the first few minutes that I met Lou and he was talking about what it is that he did. And, he talked about the show he has and the programs that he has. I was like, oh, what you really do is you connect people. And what you're doing is when they connect, that's what gets them the end result that it is that they really recognize that they need. So then we would just ask ourselves, what are all of the different ways that connection is important? How could you help a large organization be more connected? What would that look like? If CNN was to have you come on weekly and talk about connection, what are all the different themes? And so that's what the first thing that I would ask you is to ask yourself, when I think about what it is that I do, when I think about how it is that I help people, what am I really doing? Not the slivered down, completely dissected way that I have my program or this one little sliver of things that I do, but broadly speaking, what am I really helping people to do? And if you still don't know, inbox me on Instagram at Shayna Rattler Davis and I'll tell you what you really do.
So on top of that, and for listeners need to know this, the magic that this person has created, which is something that we will definitely put a link to on the show notes for this program. So go check it out, whether on YouTube or on the ThriveLouD channel, is this amazing course that you came up with. I want to talk a little bit about it because it's my favorite name of a course ever. And tell everybody what it's about and how effective it's been since you've created it.
Yeah. So it's called Make Millions Podcasting. And it teaches you how to do exactly that. It teaches you how to take your show and turn it into these high value activities. And, there's modules in there, there's resources in there, I wrote a whole book on how to land corporate sponsors. There's no fluff. Like, listen, Lou will tell you that from the moment we connected, I just call it straight. Like, you're not going to get on a podcast episode of mine. You're not going to get a module of mine. And I'm not going to start with all this flowery stuff. I'm going to start down with, boom, what do you do? How do you position it? How do you package it? How do you price it? How do you do this? How do you do that? And here's everything that I know about that I can give you within the confines of a digital course, obviously. And so the people who have taken that, or the people who have even just read the sales page, you know what they say to me? This is really going to help me live the life that I know I was born for.
Hell yeah.
And what saddens me is that the people who have said that have all been in business for longer than 5 years. So what does that say to me? That says to me that your current level of success, you know that there's still more for you. You know that there is a bigger game that you are called to. You know that you should have media mogul behind your name. You know that you should have millionaire attached to your name. And not because you only care about the money, but because you recognize that how many people can you impact if you're broke? And obviously, your business may not have you just outright broke. But do you have big visions and big goals that are yet underfunded?
Yeah.
That's what that says to me.
I love it. I love it. I love what she's all about. I love the energy that you have too. Let's talk about the challenges. There's, in every business, we run into issues and hurdles or whatever it is from the growth stage. There's always little pain points that we have. And I love this quote from somebody who's actually from your area, from Dallas, always had this expression. Whenever I feel frustrated, I get kind of excited because I know a breakthrough is coming. Talk about right now where you're at in your business, what some of the frustrations or challenges you're just facing, just, in your growth and everything that you're dealing every day. Every thriving person wants to know.
Yeah. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace, and unfortunately, and I just want to say this before I throw this out here, I want everybody to make their money. Get your coins, mama, get your coins. But during the pandemic, there were a lot of people who took a course to learn how to put out a course, and they mastered the algorithm, but they really know very little about what it is that their course is about. They know very little about business. They know very little about what works. And so there is a lot of people out there that can talk in sound bites. They can be Facebook famous and record a little clip, and you think, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And they've rented an Airbnb that makes them look more successful than what they really are. And so there's always a challenge of how do you cut through the noise? And so, when my clients are experiencing this same issue, I always say that bubble is going to burst. People want sophisticated mentorship. And so what I always try to do is like, there's receipts for what I do. I can tell you the corporations that I have worked with. I can tell you the celebrities that I've landed sponsorships with. And I talk about those things, not from a vanity, look at me, you can have what I have if you'll just pay $47 to get in my course. But I say that because I want people to recognize the depth and diversity of my experience and the sophistication of what it is that I really know. I didn't just fall off the turnip truck last night, like my grandma used to say. And so no matter how good you are in this day and age, with social media, there's always going to be the challenge of there's saturation. Unless you're offering something so futuristic, you're going to find very few times that you can't find somebody who says they do what you do. But how do you position yourself in a way that people are like, no, I actually know what I'm talking about when you get inside of my courses, or when you hire me, or when you listen to my show. I didn't just get a course to learn how to put out a course and just talk for 5 minutes in each module. And if you ask me anything beyond that, I'm like, deer in headlights. Again, get your money, mamas. But all y'all don't know what you're talking about, and you're selling stuff, and that bubble's going to bust.
Listeners need to know this is the real deal. This is the authentic deal. I don't hang out with people that aren't the real deal. And I knew it in 10 seconds in meeting her. And then we just had many, many conversations about it. And what she's hitting upon, though, is there are so many pretenders out there. Yeah. This is not only the contender, this is the champ. So you need to check it out, and we'll do all that. All right. You have an incredible building, thriving business, which is awesome, which is why you're here on ThriveLouD today. Yet we all have those days when we're a little off our game and we're not quite kicking on all cylinders. Shayna Davis, Is there a practice you seek or an individual you seek out when you have trouble thriving and you need to get back on the thriving track?
I do, but I first give myself the opportunity to be human because
Hmm.
sometimes I think, we have all these strategies that help us push through. But if you don't at all sit with how you're feeling and what the reality is, it's just going to bubble back up. You know what I mean? So I give myself a little bit of time to say, you know what, right now, I'm just having a human moment. I had a human moment with my husband 2 days ago. I walked into his office. I sat down on the couch and he's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I don't know. I just feel like everything's off. And he's like, what? Like, I was like, I don't know. I just feel like everything's off and I don't know. And I can't explain it and whatever, and he let me have my little pity party, moment or whatever, because it was a real moment. It was a real human moment. But then I'm going to age myself when I tell you what my strategy is. Do y'all remember what the Etch-a-Sketch was?
Oh yes. My favorite toy as a kid.
If you're under 30, you're probably like, I have no idea what she's talking about. But it was like our version of an iPad back in the 70s and 80s.
And it
It
one
had
went
these little
vertical.
lines that you
Yeah.
could draw on it. But here's what I want you to take away from this. When you were done with it, you didn't like save it as a file and start a new one. When you were done with it, you had to shake it up. And when you shook it up, everything that you had on it went away. So when I'm having my very real, I don't want to do this, I don't want to keep going, I'm tired of these people kind of moment or whatever your thing is, I literally shake my head back and forth like an Etch-a-Sketch. And I'm like, nope, nope.
I love
And
that.
then I say something that reinforces either what it is that I know or what it is that I really want or what it is that I'm really believing for. And for me, it's because I'm such a tactile, tangible person that literally like that, nope, nope, like I have to do that and it like gets that old crap out of my head, but then I replace that with something that gets me back on track. Like everything's clearly not falling apart. I just saw Lou not even 7 days ago. He can tell you that nothing in my life is falling apart. And then 2 days ago, I'm like, everything's just off. I don't know. I don't even know why I felt that way.
By the way, the shake, I always think about, I used to have a dog for many, many years. And whenever the dog does the shake off thing, no matter what it is, if they get scared or whatever, and our dog got scared more often than not,
Yeah.
I always said, I go, that's the greatest thing in the world. And then they totally forget it and they're done. By the way, I think I'm going to put an Etch-a-Sketch over here. I think that's a great idea. And then like put like an expression for the week. That would be kind of cool. For
Yeah.
those who've ever had to use it, I will say that I don't have the best fine motor skills. Probably needed occupational therapy, mom, when I was a kid. Never gave it to me. They didn't have it back then. But anyway, she'll probably listen to this episode and let me know if she ever listens. But one of those knobs went vertical, the other went horizontal, and you had to like come up with designs. And there were some people that did some amazing things with it. It was really, really creative. I love the Etch-a-Sketch. We got to bring it back. I got to go find one.
I'll bring it back.
The shake it up thing. I love that example. Perfectly done. I want to do the admin part of the show. Shayna, we're going to have a fun extended version of Fun Street coming up after this. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, social handles. We'll put it in the show notes. Gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Absolutely. So I'm most active on Instagram. If you're looking for me on social media, I'm at Shayna Rattler Davis on Instagram. That's where I'm at on Facebook as well, but I'm not near as fun over there. I have a gift that I want to give the audience. So if this excites you, if you're like, yeah, I really want to learn how to land these high five opportunities, especially if I have a podcast, I want to give you access to something. It's a paid thing, but I'm gonna give it to you free. So it's called my Influence Economy Playbook. There's sophisticated strategies in there. There's a visibility checklist in there. And there's also a visibility ROI calculator in there. So you can find out like which one of your activities are actually making you money. And you can get that at influenceeconomyplaybook.com, but type in the word free or else you'll have to pay for it. And I don't want to lose people to have to pay for it.
Well,
And so we're going under a huge rebrand, but the website is shaynadavis.com.
Perfect. You like it. And obviously, she's in her newlywed stage. So congratulations on that. Since she was bad and all that stuff. Okay. We're going to go down Fun Street here. We're going to basically like ease on down the road here, but I'll start off really smoothly.
Okay.
Shayna, is there a movie that you love that if it's on, it's like you're in? It's like the rewatchable thing. It doesn't matter if it's on a cable show, on a streaming network. You see it, you're just sucked right in because it's one of your favorites.
Rain Man.
Ooh, I love Rain Man. Why does that movie connect with you? Why?
Rain Man. I'm going to tell you why I think it is. So I grew up in the house. My dad raised me, right? Like my parents separated when I was like 6. My dad got custody. My mom paid him child support, all the things that typically didn't happen, right? And so I grew up around my aunt who was Down syndrome and schizophrenic.
Mm.
And so like, that's not abnormal to me. So like people who have mental illnesses or people who have any form of like disability or cognitive challenges, like I grew up in the house with that. So like, that's not, an unknown or like a scary thing for me. So I've always kind of had a heart for people who had cognitive disabilities, who had mental disabilities. I was always like trying to teach her stuff. Actually, you don't know this, but I'm an occupational therapist by trade. I obviously clearly don't practice anymore.
Where were you 50 years ago? Okay.
I know, right? So I obviously don't practice anymore, and I haven't for some time. But I was always really good with individuals who had autism, individuals who had any type of cognitive disability, because I had a lot of practice as a child being in the house with her name was Doll. We called her Aunt Doll. Her name was Alice. But and so I don't know if that's why I'm so drawn to that movie, because the character plays an individual who has autism. I don't know if that's why I'm so drawn to it, or if it's just a good ass movie. I don't know.
It's one of the best arcs, and obviously seeing the arc of Tom Cruise's character go from total sleazy car salesman, not caring about anything, to really having a valuable relationship with a family member, and it was definitely ahead of its time in that way. And I mean, all the I'm a very good driver, Kmart sucks, all those things still stick with us today. There's a real fun story. I have a friend who lives in Vegas. When they were filming The Hangover, you remember they kind of mocked that scene where he went and he learned how to count cards, and they came down the elevator dressed in the suits. He was in that particular casino that day and he goes, 2 guys are dressed like Rain Man. And he goes, and one of them looks like Bradley Cooper. I don't know what's going on here. And that's what it was. It was there the day that they were filming that fun scene,
Cool.
which I always connect with. And it brings me back to Rain Man. So very
Yeah.
cool stuff. All right. We're going to head on over to Fun Street. We're going to do the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. We're going to stop at all the fun places that mean a lot to Shayna. So here we go. Shayna, of late, is there a song that's like your jam, or one that pumps you up right now? Top of your playlist?
Oh God. I don't listen to a lot of music.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of music. I don't know that I can answer that one. I'm sorry.
I'll flip it around. If Shayna were to speak on stage and share her brilliance and of her influence, expertise, is there a walk-on song that Shayna has?
Oh, Eye of the Tiger.
All right.
You're bringing me on stage. You're playing Eye of the Tiger.
The production team just got excited. They always love opening shows with that. Okay. Favorite food that's not a dessert?
Chicken.
Favorite
I
dessert?
like it any way you can give it to me. I love it fried. I'm a Southern girl. I'm a Mississippi girl at heart. I love anything chicken, primarily because like I'm a really good cook, and chicken will take on the flavor of whatever you cook it in. So you could literally have it like every day of the week and not have the same thing. So give me chicken. I am a meat and potatoes girl. When we were in Orlando, that doggone waiter kept trying to bring me a salad with no meat on it. And I said, look, I live in Texas. I want meat on my salad. I would have never ordered that. I thought that's what you asked for. I would never order that. I eat meat.
Chicken is the meat of choice. I like it.
Yes.
All right. Do you have a favorite dessert?
Cheesecake.
Are you I'm going to break that. Wait, I'm going to break that down. Are you like the cream cheese cheesecake, like that, like that way, or are you like an Italian cheesecake kind of a thing?
Not that fluffy crap. I like that thick, dense, cut it with a fork, probably has 1,800 calories in one slice. That's what I want.
If you've ever been to New York, and specifically originally from Brooklyn, Junior's Cheesecake, which is still like the number one cheesecake.
I've heard of it, but I've never been.
Oh, we got to work that out. You know what? Note to self. Hold on. Note to self.
This is a really bad story to tell in this day and age, but P. Diddy Combs had a reality show back in the day called Making the Band. He was like making a boy band. Yeah. And as some form of like initiation, or because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, he made them walk across the bridge to Junior's and get him a piece of cheesecake and bring it back.
It is that good of a cheesecake. We'll take the Diddy thing out of the conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, we do understand. All right. An activity you wish you did more of?
get out and just play. Like I'm a homebody by nature. My husband's always like, you never want to go anywhere. You're so boring. Like he got me out of the house to go to a museum a couple of weeks ago. And we were there like maybe an hour. And he's like, what do you want to do now? Go home. He threatened to get me a senior citizens card. But I would say just get out and play more, whatever that looks like. If it's like going to the trampoline park, or we went axe throwing for my birthday. So just get out and play more.
It's fun. An activity you wish you did less of.
Watch TV.
Okay, fair enough. A new activity, one you've recently tried that you like so much, you want to tell all the listeners and viewers to try.
I really loved axe throwing. Like it, and the reason why is because I realized when I got there that it wasn't just fun because I'm competitive, but it really required like skill, and it required concentration, and it required strategy.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I'm a strategy girl before I'm anything else. And so for me to be able to blend like a fun activity, but also have to like be strategic and use my brain, I'm like, I would love to do more of that. And it took more like physical ability than what I thought. So I could get in a little exercise because I don't do that much either.
If I could snap my fingers and Shayna Davis can be anywhere in the world, where is she?
Bora Bora.
Bora Bora. Yeah, that's not a bad. Have you been to Bora Bora? I've never been.
No.
But it's on the list. All right.
It's on the list.
Last question here. As I understand it, that you are really a tomboy at heart. Is this true?
Yeah, most people would not realize that. Like when you see me out and about, like I'm in heels, I'm usually in some big blingy, necklace ring. Like I'm always dolled up.
She's glammed up, people. She's Miss Glam. She can glam.
I'm always the one that gets accused of being overdressed, and I don't think there's any such thing. But you heard me say a minute ago, I was raised by my dad, and I was my dad's only child. And I think my dad wanted a boy because for Christmas, he bought me fishing poles and footballs, and he taught me how to shoot guns. And like, I like brown liquor and cigars, and you know what I mean? So, I'm not real frilly. Like I'm feminine in the fact that I like to be dolled up, but in my element, like I want to shoot guns and I want to fish. And I want to watch sports, and I want to eat wings and drink a beer. You know what I mean? Like that's who I really am at my core, but no one would ever believe that because they see this black Barbie everywhere I go.
Love it. Media and money mentor, influence expert. Everybody check it out. The Influence Economy Playbook. We'll put the links on the show notes. Fan of Junior Cheesecake. We're gonna have to get her one.
Yeah.
Shayna Davis, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for being you. And everybody check it out. And if you haven't yet, we will put a link to this. Go download Make Millions Podcasting, her course. It is awesome. It is probably the best value you will get. Awesome stuff. Shayna, thank you for being here. Thank you for being you.
My pleasure.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to ThriveLouD with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at ThriveLouD.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at ThriveLouD. And check us out on the Good Pods app at ThriveLouD, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the ThriveLouD episodes. Thanks for listening.